Good evening and welcome to FPL Happy Hour Last Orders, and we're live.
There it
Um,
is.
and joining me yet again is the fantastic James Johnson at JamesCC1234. How are you doing, mate?
All the better for being back here, Rob. Yeah, it's been an interesting week of FPL. I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, it could be worse. Could be a Man United fan this week, so it's fine.
Right, well, you've had your dig. I had to deal with it from Sham on Tuesday night when we recorded the pod. Um, I mean, I was expecting him to have gone on Monday. I did say when we recorded that I thought that if he wasn't sacked on Monday, it probably isn't going to happen, at least until the international break, even if it does happen. But they know that Conte was there. He apparently wants the job. I mean, who wouldn't, with the squad that's there? Like, who wouldn't want the job? Um, and they've obviously turned around and gone, no, they don't think he's the right fit. Which I mean, I agree with. I think that Antonio Conte would just put us back in the position we were under with Mourinho, and in a couple of years' time, he'll get the arse and he'll move on, like he did at Chelsea, like he did at Juve. Um, and I mean, he's one of these managers that will just he's like a journeyman. He'll just go
Yeah,
and pop up
he'll
everywhere.
want he'll want to win a trophy, and then he'll get bored. But I'm shocked. Ollie's still there. I give him till after the man. I think he's got Manchester Derby evening.
I've
That
just got
you're
a
gonna get.
feeling that they'll react on Saturday. Well, I fucking hope they will, because I'm at White Hart Lane on Saturday with my dad, and I'm sitting in the home end. I can't be dealing with that for 2 hours. So yeah, if I can see a reaction coming. I said to a couple of people earlier that I think that game could be an absolute goal fest. Both
Yeah.
teams pretty poor defensively. Um, it could be like one of that. It could be like a 3-3 or a 4-4, or it'll be a really, really shit, boring 0-0. So
No, I'll
we,
side with you. I think that could be goals. I think you could be right there.
which yeah, is the reason why. Well, we'll see with how I'm lining up my team next week. Why I've lined it up as I've lined it up. Right. So what we're going to go through tonight, we've got a little bit of injury news. There wasn't many press conferences today. There was a few, obviously the post-match conferences last night from the EFL Cup, and yeah, I think it's only Brentford that had a press conference today. Cool, I can't get my words out tonight. Only Brentford had a press conference today, so there's not much to report on from that. But let's have a quick talk about your game week 9, James. How did you get
Do
on?
we have to?
Well,
Shockingly,
Sham
as
had
usual,
to, so and you've had a dig about United, so let's have a dig about your FPL team.
it couldn't get any worse at the moment. I think it's got to the point now where I have to laugh at some of the decision making that's being made. Obviously, the two transfers that came in, Vardy and Embuemo for a -4, both lasted a respective 45 minutes. Or did Embuemo make it? Still didn't make it to 60, but he might have made it past half time.
Hmm.
So the 2 points they made really made up for the -4. Like not Kieran Tierney. There was no news about him being injured, and then on the Friday night, just turns up out not in the teams, and so that meant that Eric Dyer came in for me for a big 2 points. And then the big glaring obvious mistake is not captaining Mo Salah and captaining De Bruyne during Pep Roulette. So those 13 minutes that Pep gave De Bruyne for 2 points as my captain were much appreciated when Salah then went and scored 24 and everyone else had captained him. So except for Salah, Smith Rowe did
I did
return.
point out before we came on air though that stopped you getting Luke Shaw's -1 point now. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
every
so
cloud and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. That -1 would have really hurt me compared to the 24 that Salah got. So if it hadn't been for Smith Rowe, it would have been a pretty terrible game week everywhere else. Jimenez with an assist, Robertson with a clean sheet, Sarr got 1 save point, and then except for Salah, no one else doing anything in my team at the moment. So 2 -4s in a row have not got me very far. They've actually put me back 800,000 places. So probably going to stop doing those at the moment and maybe just hold my nerve and just play with the one transfer that I'm given and stop trying to be clever and use two. So yeah.
I mean, we did speak a bit on the podcast on Tuesday, and those that are joining us tonight and those listening on Friday morning, yeah, it's well worth just having a listen to Tuesday's podcast if you haven't yet, where we do talk about sticking to your guns and not being too reactionary, because it often can go a bit pear-shaped. So yeah, like what you're hearing when you're saying, yeah, try and stick to your guns and be yeah, a little more not sensible but less risky,
I
because
I
I
don't
think
regret them.
taking risks is the only thing that's going to sort of move you up the ranks, and if you don't take any risks then you're not going to go anywhere really. So
Exactly, and I don't regret the transfers for the -4. I don't think anybody at the start, before last game week, have said if you're taking a -4 and you're bringing in Vardy and Mbuemo, they're not going to cover you. I think everyone thought they were the two that would be brought in. Obviously, the decision to go Salah over De Bruyne over Salah is one that's cost me. But except for that, I knew Vardy and Mbuemo were not 1 week punts that were then coming back out. They're players that are going to sit there now for a while. So they will earn that -4 back, I'm sure, at some point. And it really is just getting the captaincy wrong that cost me last week. I think if got the captaincy right, it would have been 83 points compared to 58, and we would have been looking at a sizable green arrow again. I would have thought around the million mark. I think I would have been moving up the leaderboards for the 5th week in a row. But as we said, it's one we've learned for, and we all know now that it's a 10-man game and Captain Salah, and don't worry about the rest of it.
yeah, yeah, I mean, on that note, this week Salah broke another FPL record.
Oh, go on.
So the previous record was held by Riyad Mahrez at 68.2%. And that was an ownership record, and
Oh my God.
Salah surpassed it on Wednesday morning. And he's now, I believe, I grabbed these ownerships just before we came on air. It's going to scroll around. 69.2% ownership.
Jesus
Which is
Christ.
absolutely ridiculous.
We said the 31% of people that made their teams at the start of the season
And
aren't playing
thing is,
anymore.
basically, essentially, that means if 25% of the people that own Salah captain him, you're screwed if you don't own him. If you don't captain him,
Captain him.
and
Yeah.
he hauls, because yeah, his EO just just goes out, goes over straight away.
So what we're saying is
Crazy.
Salah's pretty fixture proof for your captaincy. I think the only game we might now look at to not what roll with him is Chelsea or Man City. Except for that,
Yeah, I think that's game week 21. I mean,
which
between now and then, there are a couple of opportunities where you could oppose him. I think that it's something that we might have a look at either next week or during the international break, and
right.
just look at all of the different weeks we could oppose Mohamed Salah. And there's obviously the Cup of Nations, but we can plan for that and um, plan accordingly. Whether you kind of uh, work your team so that you get rid of Salah at one end of the Cup of Nations and then wildcard your team to bring him back at the other end. all depends on how long
Yeah,
Egypt are in it for.
yeah.
But
But
it's
my initial thought was that it'll be straight to Bruno at that point, and then come back off Bruno. I think that's the easy kind of sideways move for a lot of people, isn't it?
yeah, Bruno or De Bruyne would be the easy ones really. But yeah, there's plenty of time till that. I don't think that's even till like game week 25 or 26. Yeah, plenty of time to go. Right. Let's have a quick look at who's in the chat. We've got a few people. Paul Glasto, evening. Michael Cook asking, oh, he's saying, "Where's Sham?" Hashtag bring back Sham.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
sure how I feel
he's
about this.
he's at a Halloween party tonight.
Yeah, it's all
Um,
right for sub, isn't it?
yeah, so he's all dressed up. We'll get him to post a picture tomorrow. FPL Rubber Ducky's with us. FPL Penguin is with us evening. And there's a couple of people that just aren't in the chat. They're just hanging about, lurking in the background. Right.
Absolutely fine.
So what news has there been in the last 24 hours or so?
Everyone's injured,
Ev-
and now
ev-
everyone's not injured.
Everyone's not injured. Brendan Rodgers has said that Jamie Vardy is ready to go at the weekend. Um, Frank, I can't ever remember his surname.
Thomas Frank.
Thomas Frank, that's it. That is his surname.
You
Frank
knew
is his
his you
surname.
knew his surname.
Can't remember his first name. Has said that Mbumo is training and is likely to play at the weekend as well, so there's no worries there.
Thank God.
Rafinha was pictured in training today, and Bielsa is fairly positive of him playing, which means he's starting. If Bielsa's positive of him
Yeah,
featuring, it means he's going to start. At the end of the day,
yeah.
yeah, Leeds are at the moment in a lot of trouble, and this fixture against Norwich. I was listening to Talksport. Was it yesterday? They were talking a bit about Leeds. Andy Goldstein and Darren Goff, and saying that they had a Leeds fan ring in. He basically said if they lose to Norwich, he thinks Bielsa could walk. He literally thinks he'd just go, not get
Can you
sacked.
imagine?
He'd just get fed up and go, which would
What, turn
be
up in Manchester? Or
well, yeah, turn up in Manchester. Oh my God, imagine.
you do a swap, send Ollie down
We'll send
there.
Ollie down there. I don't think Ollie would go to Leeds, to be fair. But I mean, they're Leeds. They're not the team that we saw last year. Yeah, they've struggled with injuries. There's been suspensions as well. Calvin Phillips has been out for long periods of time. Jack Harrison, who was quite important for him last year, has been out.
Bamford. They're just
Ayling,
missing goals.
Bamford, Rafinha has obviously been struggling for fitness, and he's probably. I'm surprised he hasn't got a back injury yet, trying to carry the team this far into the season. But yeah, and they're in a bit of a bad place at the moment, and it kind of, yeah, I mean, they've got some relatively. I mean, they've got Norwich at the weekend. They got Leicester, then they got Spurs. Um,
Then they
I
got
mean, Leicester is
Brighton.
that's going to be a really tough game. Spurs, we don't know. We
No,
don't know
could go
week
either
to
way.
week. Then they got Brighton away. It'd be a tough game. And
Game.
like, if they don't get a win here, when is the next win gonna come?
I think they're banging trouble this season, Leeds. I think they're going to really, really struggle this year. I don't know if it's I can't even say it's second season syndrome, but it's almost as if the
They
way
didn't,
they played has become a bit of a gimmick, and everyone's kind of worked it out a little
and they.
bit.
I
And
don't think they strengthened enough in the summer.
no,
They they brought in Dan James, and that was about it. Where they'd lost Alioski, um, who is an important player for them, and they didn't even get any money for him. They just let his contract run out and
run
released
out.
him.
Yeah,
Um,
Stuart Dallas has been injured as well for them. I was just
Yeah,
thinking
Stuart
back to
Dallas, another
last
player
year
that's been
when
important for him that's been injured, and
Stuart
he
Dallas
played
was
last weekend and was disappointing.
yeah
Um,
FPL hero Stuart Dallas last year.
yeah, And yeah, I'm worried about. Well, I'm not worried about them really. It'll be funny if they go back down. But
Oh, nothing I'd like more as well. I can't stand them either. But
um, yeah, it'll be interesting what happens if Norwich do the unthinkable and beat them. Um,
yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
um, but yeah, so right, where are we going next? Let's go into our free hit teams. Um, and I'll go first this week because you always have to go first, so I'll go first.
I never looked. I presume you won last week again.
No, you won by a long
Yes.
way. Um,
Oh, get in.
60 points to 35. It was in the end. I think it
I
was
we
Foden.
only got you only got 35 with the free hit.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
um,
I thought you were about to say like 160 to
I think
135.
it
Oh
was
god!
Foden. You had Foden that went a
Yeah.
bit crazy, and um,
Neither of us have Mount last week.
you
Well,
had
we both went
Trent.
Havertz. Did
You had Trent as well,
oh, love
um,
Trent.
who went a bit crazy.
What a nice young man he
And that
is.
was about
Thank you, Trent.
that was probably the difference, really. So what have I gone with this week? So I'm backing a Liverpool clean sheet and another comfortable winning at home to Brighton. I've captain Salah. I've got Trent, and I've gone with Allison, literally because he's point 0.4 cheaper than Mendy, and it meant that I could squeeze in my free Chelsea assets who are Chilwell, Mount, and Havertz. I'm sticking with Havertz. I think um, those that and we spoke about this on the pod. Those that um, are maybe looking to make that move from Havertz to Mount, just don't do it. Like
No,
you've
to
likely
be the
taken
only
a
one that didn't return in a 7-0.
yeah,
I mean, come on. I know it's such a tempting move on current form as well, but it's
yeah.
even when
I still
Lukaku
think
and
I still
Werner come
think
back.
over the course of 3 games, it will not be a bad move. Like I'm fairly confident he'll return either against Newcastle or against Burnley next week.
So we're saying
He
Mason Mount isn't going to get another
And
hat trick.
I mean, he returned in the cup on Tuesday night, didn't he?
That
So
was good. That was good of him, wasn't it?
there you go. There was a few players in the EFL Cup that I've owned and haven't returned for me. I
Yeah.
saw Harvey Barnes scored for Leicester. I was like, well, that's fucking typical, isn't it?
And Tony got a goal and an assist. He's been sat in
Tony's
most people's teams for
Tony's didn't
about
have one.
6
Well,
weeks doing nothing.
he's done it to me already this season. The week I transferred him out was when he got his free 15 pointer.
Yeah, that was
That was when was
against
that?
us.
Game
No.
week 4. That was.
Yeah, that was his first goal in open play. That might have been against us.
Yeah, goal and assist. I think he got that week, or goal and 2
Was it that week?
assists and some
Can't. No, it
bonus.
couldn't have been against us.
Um, so yeah, I've gone with the free Chelsea. Foden and Cancelo. With Foden not starting on Wednesday, I think he's fairly nailed to start. He's had a really impressive first couple of weeks. I've said that now, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's not going to
Not even
start.
in the team.
Yeah,
Not even
same
on
with
the bench.
Cancelo. So I've gone with those two from City. Ben Rama as my fifth midfielder. I think Villa are another team that are in a bit of trouble at the moment.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think
think?
we'll change system. That was the end of the three at the back against Arsenal
Oh,
on
wasn't
Friday
it?
night. It was
It was in the second half, didn't you? Come out with 4 at the
uh,
back.
yeah, and we weren't much better, but that first half was some of the weakest football I've seen us play since being back in the Premier League, and we were particularly poor at
Mm,
points during that lockdown season. Yeah, I think that three at the back experiment's run its course, and having players like Leon Bailey back fit now, and we just need to start playing players in their right positions. I'm particularly bored of watching Emi Buendia play as a slightly further forward centre mid in a five
mm,
back. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work for me. It needs to be a. I think our team's perfectly set up now for a 4-2-3-1, and it means sacrificing Ollie Watkins out onto the left, Buendia behind Ings, and Leon Bailey out on the right, and then the rest of the team behind it writes itself. Even though I did just see tonight that Emi Martinez is in Argentina as we speak
Why is he in
because
Argentina now?
his his dad's been taken ill. He's put a photo up of him and his dad in hospital today. So I know we don't play till Sunday, but
I
it
reckon.
could be running.
I reckon because he's proven that he can
Oh, I'm sure he'll
do the
come back
journey and still
Saturday
play.
night.
Yeah, he'll come back
Yeah.
Saturday night or even
Well, he might even come Sunday.
yeah. And I mean we're still 72 hours away from
But yeah,
um
that worried me a little bit when I
well
saw that photo.
less than 72 hours away from when they play on Sunday. But like yeah, he can come back Saturday, play, and then probably fly back again.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like he's good, and because he's a goalkeeper, it's possible for him to do it.
And yeah,
So yeah, I'm targeting Villa so as one of my teams. So I've gone Benrahma and Antonio um, from West Ham, and then because of his performance last week, where he got another goal, going with Huang um, up front against an Everton defence that looks particularly ropey at the moment.
yeah, they
Um,
do.
so yeah, I think I think he's worth a punt at 5.7 million.
I think
Um,
he's going to be the one that I don't know how much longer we can keep ignoring him
hmm.
because I've got Jimenez in my actual team, and I'm looking at that thinking that's a nice little saving that is. I just don't know how much longer I can.
It's a couple of million saving that you can have.
But then the moment he comes out of the team, then that saving doesn't look worth it. But at the moment, he don't look likely to come out of that team, does he?
No, not, I mean him and Jimenez are forming a bit of a partnership now, and
Mm.
lots of Wolves fans are generally say that
Oh,
he's pretty nailed now to
yeah.
start in that team. So watching him get benched at the weekend. Now that I've said that, and then yeah, bench of Ben Foster, Tino Livramento. So if one of my City players doesn't start, then I've got Tino coming in. Then I've got Matt Loughton, and I have got a Villa player there. I've got Keenan Davies.
scored against MK Dons in
Yeah,
the
he's
Johnston Pape Trophy
he's
the
in
other night.
form. In form. There you
Oh,
go. So yeah, there's my free hit team. Let's have a look at how you'll line up to try and draw it to 5-all.
yeah, I think there's some similarities in the way we thought. It always seems to be the same. Obviously, I've gone with the triple Liverpool, which will for me is Trent, Salah as captain, and I couldn't believe that Bobby Firmino didn't get anything against Manchester United the other week. I think Bobby's due another hat trick or one of those games where he just seems to be on the end of everything. So that's my three: Liverpool, three Man City, backing a Man City clean sheet against Crystal Palace. As much as Christian Benteke is looking like the old Christian Benteke at the moment, he's still not going to score against Man City for me. So Edison and Laporte in there for me, and then further forward with Phil Foden, as you discussed. I think he's as sure as we can be of the players that are in there. Two from Chelsea, one to give me some defensive coverage in Rudiger, and the man of the moment, Mason Mount. I think Rudiger's seems the most sure again out of Chelsea. I know Azpilicueta and Christensen had knocks that they're now back from. So Rudiger and Mount after his hat trick, I think you've got to back him against Newcastle to be on the end of something. And then a couple of out there picks. Ivan Toney against Burnley, just discussed it. I think since game week where we have 5-6, he hasn't returned. And I think he's due a return, and Burnley look poor defensively. Rafinha against Norwich, kind of similar reasons again. Due a return, something's got to be the catalyst for Leeds. I mean, if you can't be the catalyst against Norwich, then I will be worried about Leeds. And and then the final pick was a bit out there, but I think I actually watched the game last week, and I was really, really impressed with James Maddison coming back. I know he hadn't scored in it was 18 months or something. I couldn't believe how
No,
long
he
it had
scored.
been.
No, he scored. He was scoring goals at the beginning of the year, back in
How long?
February,
Well,
March.
March. I
18
thought it was
games it
longer
might
than
have
that.
been. Might have
18
been.
games, maybe.
Yeah,
I thought it was longer than that, but
because
I
he.
think he's a great talent.
I brought him in. Um, when did I bring him in? End of January, beginning of February, and he returned that week with like a goal and an assist or
Right.
something like that. So
But yeah, overdue a return and played well last week. I was really impressed with him, and I think now Vardy's been given the all clear. I think from everything I read, it could be no Tierney and no Ben White for that Arsenal defence
hmm,
uh, this weekend, and all of a sudden, Vardy owners after having him um, flagged this week, and now maybe licking their lips at that fixture a little bit when you think that it could be Pablo Mari back in there, or I don't know how that Arsenal defence lines up with no
hmm.
Tierney and no Ben White. I presume Tavares stays out on that side, but who partners? You know, does Tomiyasu come into centre back? Who plays centre back for Arsenal this week? And I think Maddison might be given a little bit of a license after his performance. So Maddison was my pick, and then the man I'm leaving first on my bench because I can't believe his value. And at 3.9 million, Ben Johnson is what I'm looking for at my normal team. I
Hmm.
mean, he's had 2 returns in the last 2 weeks, 2 clean sheets. And as you said, Villa have been poor. I don't expect us to be as poor this week back at home. I expect there to be goals at the weekend because they'll want a reaction. But at 3.9 million, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's great
Couldn't
value.
believe how cheap he was. So yeah, that's how the free hit team is lined up this week. I think we've got some similar players, but there are some differences in there.
Yeah, it's I think it's yeah, it's good to sort of have a look at this and see which teams are potentially there to target, and there's some other options there to move to. Like I hadn't actually thought about Madison, um, although I probably won't make the move, but it's a move that I could do. I think the only move this week I would have done was to bring Foden in, but just short on money, so I can't do it. Which
No,
leads
I
us
was
on.
just I liked your free hit team because the one man that I haven't heard discussed all year is Allison, and it's
Hmm,
bizarre to me. I was just looking; he's not even. I think he was eighth most owned keeper.
yeah, and
Oh,
I mean, he picks up saves. Um, like
well, it's just
you don't. I
you
mean,
would have thought he would have.
he's not as much as like. So look at Sanchez last week for Brighton against
Yeah,
City. Conceded 4, but picked up 4 points still. There's not
yeah,
many other
nine.
keepers that will do that sort of thing. Like you're not going to get that from Allison. If Liverpool concede, you're likely to only get 2 points from Allison. You're not going to go and
Five.
get save points and DPS on top of that because you've got
Yeah,
the
5
likes of.
clean sheets this season, though, out of 10. It's still not particularly strong for Liverpool. I thought it would have been better than that. And I guess it's that fact of paying the premium for the goalkeeper. But he's just he's the ninth most owned goalkeeper in the game.
I
And I
mean,
mean, I know,
from like I look at it from like the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, Spurs. They've all got keepers that are more expensive. They don't necessarily give you the value. Although Lloris was picking up, he was like getting hauls every
yeah,
week for the first couple of weeks. Um, and they also block the opportunity to trip. Like someone like Spurs,
true.
you might, other than Kane and Son, you're probably not going anywhere else.
It's
But
also
Liverpool,
such a
City,
luxury
Chelsea,
transfer, isn't it?
yeah, Liverpool, City, Chelsea. At some stage of the season, you're going to want to be tripling out up on them with their outfield players. So, yeah, do you want to block yourself from being able to do
Yeah.
that with a goalkeeper that costs 6 million and is going to cost you points to
Yeah,
switch
exactly.
around.
And as I said, normally people have got bigger fires to fight than a free transfer to move their goalkeepers around.
Um,
No one fancies David De Gea. No, just no.
no, I mean I had a look at who did I have a look at this week? Fernandez of Brentford,
The Brentford one.
but he's
Yes.
4.5. What the fuck was going on there? Like
Yeah, it's not
they're
even.
two 4 million goalkeepers they've sent out on loan, and they're
Yeah.
4.5 million keepers sitting there. It's like oh, and it's
No, it's
obviously
just that.
at the beginning of the season, FPL didn't really like FPL Towers obviously didn't know who would be the starting keeper when they priced everyone. Didn't know who would be the starting keeper, and then um, it's very firmly been Raya
Mm,
through pre-season and everything. And I mean, this is the disadvantage that they have when they release the game so early
yeah, exactly.
that you don't get. They're not getting any pre-season information to try and. Um,
Yeah, Raya should never have been 4.5.
hmm,
He should have been. He should have been 5 with Saar and keepers like that. It was just one. It was just a discussion point I thought of because obviously I've been on Jose Sarr since my wild card, and he's returned. You know, he obviously had that assist and clean sheet and bonus points for Jimenez, and he's grabbed me a couple other clean sheets. But I know Wolves fixture list is starting to look a little bit more ropey now, and it was just a thought of if I can not have to fight any more fires in the next couple of weeks, it's probably the one position that I'm now looking to move on. And I think there's some interesting options and discussions, but trying to find a million for Allison out of my team now is
hmm,
one of those where, as you said, it becomes a bit of a challenge, especially with already having Salah and Robertson. That's my Liverpool quota gone.
hmm. Cool. Let's take a look at how we line up. That's last week's. There we
That's
go.
just you flexing your team again.
119 points, mate. 900k game wise.
119. I haven't mentioned it. I haven't put it in the Twitter bio. Nothing. Just
No.
left it.
So this is how I line up as it stands. I've got. I'm still undecided between Sanchez and Gaeta this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
I did very briefly toy with the idea of moving off Gaeta and then uh, going to another 4.5 goalkeeper, or even down to uh, Foster at 4 million. Um,
Would it
but
not be crazy to do Fernandez for 1 week and then bring Sanchez back in? Fernandez against Burnley,
it's just
one
because then
week.
I'll be burning off a transfer. No, I'm happy
Oh,
with
come on.
Sanchez and Gaeta at the moment. I've gone with Chilwell, Cancelo, Rudiger as a back three. Um, Sarr, Mount, Captain Salah, and Benrahma as my midfield, and Huang, Antonio, and I've held on to Ronaldo yet again.
I
Um,
see a lot of people thinking he's going to get benched this weekend. I can't believe it.
um, yeah, so the two moves I toyed with the idea of this week were Gaeta to Ben Foster. It would have been effectively. Well, my plan is next week not to use a transfer. So if I
So,
if I roll this week, which I'm probably going to do, next week I'll only use one of those three transfers,
right,
so that
got you.
I'm moving through the international break with two
With
free
two.
transfers,
Right.
which it seems like the wise decision at the moment with
Yeah,
injuries
probably.
seeming to happen all over the place. So I could have gone Gaeta to Foster, um,
Which would have saved you what? It's only
half
half
a
a million
million.
saving. Yeah. It's,
Or the other move I did think about was doing Ronaldo to Kane. But
mm, it's too early for Kane. Couple more weeks.
yeah, with Kane, maybe even next week. I want to see if this Everton defence performs poorly again against Wolves. I'll be bringing
Is
Kane
it?
in next week. But then
Is
I
it?
can use that like 1.5 million that I'm saving. I have like 2.5, 3 million sitting in the bank then to then go move Saar or Gray onto someone else or Simicast onto someone else. I've still
God,
got
you still got
Simicast
Simicast.
still sitting there. I didn't
Is
make
it?
the move from Simicast to Livramento, and now I'm like, there's no. I probably will end up going to Livramento at some point, but at the
Well,
moment, it doesn't
you,
seem like important.
with Graham Veltman being playing players, though, would it not come down to the case that maybe Simicast, as I said, all the way down to Ben Johnson at 3.9? That's going to open up a nice amount of money compared
Well,
to
Simicast
Livermore.
is now 3.9, so it's not
Oh,
even.
is it? Oh,
Yeah,
is it?
he's
I didn't
gone.
realise he got that gone
He
down.
went up to 4.2 at one point, and he's
Oh,
down
he was
down
flying.
down to
Oh, well, ignore
3.9.
that. I'll just
That's
let
what
him rot then.
happens when with Ben Johnson. Yeah, he'll go up in price, but then when Sufal comes back, he'll just drop back down again. So then you've got to come off of him. I don't
It'd be
think.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
don't
how
know.
much value you'll be able to get out of him because you need him to go up to 4.1 to even
One.
think about making any money out of him.
I haven't heard the prognosis on Sufal though. I presume he's still a couple of weeks off.
Which means after the international break, if
Is
Ben Johnson goes and bangs this week, I might just use that burn one of my transfers and do
well, Spurs.
Simicast
Have
before
we
he goes up, and then hope that he goes up again next
is
week
it two
and get
two
rid of him.
games and then we got international break? We got this week and next week and then
Yeah,
international break.
yeah.
So
So
Kane goes away with England, probably doesn't play because England are probably playing a load of binmen, and then comes back to Leeds and Burnley. Is it? I think that's the time to get a Kane, isn't it? Surely.
yeah,
If
so
Tottenham got
yeah,
Leeds
they
and
play
Burnley after,
Leeds and Burnley. Leeds at home,
and he
Burnley away.
and he plays what, a maximum of 60 minutes. We're saying away with England in that week, and then comes back to a
Depends.
depleted Leeds team. I would it
Depends
depend who
because
are England playing. As I said, it'll be a bunch of binmen, and
I don't know who they're playing. Who would they be playing? Uh,
I'll have a
San
look.
Marino, maybe.
Oh, I'll definitely get him out for that game then.
They might let it. Southgate might let him play just to score some goals. He's only what? He's only like 15, 10 goals off of Rooney's
I'm
record
sure.
now. So
I'm sure he'll get there with that. We play
San Marino will
Albania.
help.
We play Albania and San Marino.
Yeah.
Like Harry Kane's basically gonna have a week off, isn't he? And then comes back against a depleted Leeds team and a Burnley
I
team.
wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get called up. To be fair, because they're not.
Oh,
They're two fixtures where Southgate could basically take a B side, but with say he could take 7 or 8 of his like starting 11,
yeah,
and then fill the rest of the squad with like fringe players that deserve an opportunity. I think
yeah.
like players like Smith Rowe, I think will probably get a call up.
Ruben Loftus Cheek. There's your outside bet for one.
Hudson Odoi is another one.
Oh, don't get too far. Let's calm down. Esri Konsa. Anyone heard of Esri Konsa? No.
We're just gonna
Before he
we're
buggers
just
off.
throwing names out.
Well,
They might they might
England's better centre back if Tyrone Mings is still getting in that squad.
might
Jesus
call
Christ.
up Matty Cash just for shits and giggles, so he doesn't go
Right.
to Poland.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's
um,
got his passport.
yeah, he'll be getting. He'll get called up to Poland, won't he?
Yeah, 100%. I can't see why not. And they play a 5-back system
At
from
the
what
end of
I've
the
been
day,
reading.
if I was Matty Cash and I had the opportunity to go and swing crosses into Robert Lewandowski
Dowski. Yeah.
internationally, or
Yeah.
play every game,
Exactly. And playing a 5 at the back suits him. That's how he played at Nottingham Forest, and it just hasn't suited Villa as a system playing a 5 at the back. But he's always the more attacking of the fullbacks. I think he perfectly suits that. And playing for Poland, he's going to play in some European qualifiers against some absolute binmen and have a great time.
of
just
which
laying it.
of which some of them are the Polish players.
Yeah, exactly. But at least he's got Lewandowski up front. You know, he's gone from he's really downgraded from Danny Ings to Robert Lewandowski, but we'll let him off for those couple of weeks.
I must apologise to those listeners that listen that are from other countries around Europe. We know that through the Euros we gained a lot of viewers. James isn't actually a host; he is just a temporary guest for this evening.
Yes. Yeah, sorry for calling out most of Europe this evening and calling them Finlands, but yeah.
So, so there we go. Yeah, so God, clicked the wrong
You,
team again.
oh
Um,
yeah, come
uh,
on.
so yeah, that's how I'm lining up for this week. Fairly confident
Strong.
of another
Oh yeah,
uh,
definitely.
decent week. I think when I got to Saturday evening, obviously sitting there quite happy with how the game week was going. Just quickly made my bus team, and I was like, oh shit! The only problem I've really got is if Cancelo or Chilwell don't start,
But you got
because then I've got Veltman coming in against City. That's
what you
why I've
oh yeah.
started Gaeta instead of Sanchez.
Yeah, got you.
Because if Chilwell or Cancelo don't start, I have double defence going up against one of the best attacks in Europe, which I'm not too happy about. So yeah, just that's why I've gone with Gaeta rather than Sanchez um, this week. Right, let's have a look at how you line up
A
with
lot
your
less healthy.
flags.
A lot less healthy. Obviously I think my team's I think it's still in a good spot. I think the flags make it look worse than they are. The Luke Shaw still seems to be lingering in my team like a bad smell. I can't get rid of Luke Shaw from one week to the next because of injuries. So Sarr in goal against Everton. Still don't think Everton look very good. So I'm happy with Sarr in goal. Tierney's in there at the moment. Tierney's the most likely to come out of my team. One, because he's flagged, and two, I think it's run its course now for me. Uh, Robertson against Brighton, happy with. Charlie Taylor against Brentford is one that's just a necessity this week. I mean, I could bring in Eric Dyer versus Manchester United, but or Luke Shaw against Tottenham, but I'd rather run with the differential of Charlie Taylor, and if Burnley keep a clean sheet, Burnley keep a clean sheet. If they don't, he gets 2 points, and we move on again. De Bruyne will be firmly staying with that big V next to him. There won't be a C next to him this week. And there will firmly be a C next to the man next to him, Mo Salah. Smith Rowe coming off a good haul against Villa. Happy with him at his price. And Buemo now cleared, and Brentford's next three is Burnley, Norwich, Newcastle. I want to say.
Quick look. Correct. Burnley,
Yeah,
Norwich,
Burnley,
Newcastle.
Norwich, and then Everton. I mean, that was the reason I bought him in last week for a -4. I wanted to get on this. You know, if he doesn't repay me a -4 over the next 3 weeks with those fixtures, then it it's one of those. Rafinha now cleared fit against Norwich, Jewel Hall, so that's I think a comfortable position to be in. Jimenez keeps ticking over at that mid price range for a striker. I think it's while Bamford's still out, it's really a question of him versus Antonio at the moment. I think is the only two at that price. I mean, neither of the Villa ones of Watkins or Ings are doing anything. Calvert-Lewin's still away. Richarlison's still away. I think Jimenez is the best
Richarlison
option.
played last week. He scored.
Did he?
Yeah, he
Is
scored last
Richarlison
week.
back? I didn't realise, and I don't think Richarlison's the option from that Everton attack anyway when Calvert Lewin's back.
Hmm.
So I think Jimenez at that mid-price striker is the best bet. I mean, if I had the money, I've been toying with the idea. I've been toying with the idea all week of if Vardy was injured, I might have gone to Roberto Firmino up front with Jimenez, but I think with Vardy now cleared, I bought him in last week. I've got to hold him now. As we said, with Arsenal's defensive injuries, and I still don't think Arsenal are particularly strong anyway. I think that's a game that Vardy probably only needs 60 minutes to get a return in. So I'm happy with that. So at the moment, it'll be Tierney will be leaving the team. I've got nothing in the bank, and he's 4.9 million. There's very limited options round that price that excite me. So the thinking is just there's one train of thought to go the same way as you and actually just roll with it this week and play Luke Shaw against Tottenham and roll the transfer and take two with me towards, and then maybe just take one next week and roll two into the
I mean,
international
you
break.
thought maybe doing Luke Shaw to either a Chelsea or a City defender.
Well, this is what we discussed earlier. I looked at it, even with Livramento's price rise last night. I've got exact money to do Luke Shaw to Ben Chilwell or Rudiger or one of the 5.9s, and then Tierney down to Livramento, which
You
I
don't need
think
to take the
from
-4 though, do you?
yeah, because Luke Shaw's only 5.3, so I can't move up
How much?
to.
Oh, you haven't got enough in the bank.
No, I've got nothing. I don't think I've got
Chilwell's
five.
only 5.5, isn't he?
No, 5.9 Chilwell.
What? When did that happen?
Yeah,
I
same
remember
as
looking.
Rudiger.
I remember looking at him, like because he obviously was dropping and dropping. At some point, it was like 5.3, and he's
No,
just gone crazy in the last
I have
week.
I have no money in the bank. So if I do, yeah, Chilwell's 5.8. Sorry, so I can do
Reece
Chilwell.
James,
Reece James is
5.6.
5.6. So I still can't get there off
Oh, you
Luke
can't get
Shaw.
there. Oh,
No,
Jesus.
so it has to be a -4 to bring a Chelsea defend. Which do I really mind? Probably not. But do I really want to be
Laporte,
taking 5.5? Can't get there.
Pereira,
Yeah, when I look
Castagna.
at if I do affordable, so I could go to Chalobah at Chelsea, but then does he play?
Yeah, that's the problem with
Um,
him.
and then when you look at this price range, this is what I said of when you go off form. You've then got Ogbonna at 5, West Ham. Does that really interest me? No. All the way down to Livramento. And then you've got Duncan Cucurella
Well,
against
what
Liverpool.
about just doing Shaw to Livramento?
Yeah, I
Just do
guess
that
that could,
one move this week, and then you can then make an upgrade next week, or even hold roll the transfer
but
next week, and then be able
Tierney
to.
does play Watford next week, so it might be a case that we take Tierney out, we bring someone in to start.
I mean, you were saying how after the international break, Kane would be a good option, and then so if you did Shaw down to Livramento next week, rolled, and then
Yeah,
you've got an extra.
point
What
nine. I got point nine in the bank,
would that get
which
you?
would leave me. No, I'd be 500,000 short of Vardy to Kane, but
Yeah,
with another transfer.
you've got the extra transfer then to go um, from
See, the problem is I
Tierney
don't.
down to a 4.5.
Yeah, see, the problem is I don't mind Vardy. Like Arsenal this week, Leeds the week after. I think are two good fixtures for him. He then plays Chelsea after the international break. Admittedly, it's a sticky one, but then he goes into a run of Watford, Southampton, Villa, Newcastle. Like I think Vardy. I earmarked Vardy for. I know that
Well,
one
it's either
week
that
against
or
Chelsea.
I mean, yeah, maybe coming off of De Bruyne and going to Son. I think you'd want some Spurs coverage. But
I'm
I think that's sure to Livramento, and it gives you a nice bit of backup on the bench for this week. Because I mean, how long when do you think in the next? Let's bring up the fixtures. In the next 4 games, I can see you wanting to start Shaw once.
yeah, and then but if I hold him to Watford, my whole thinking is it's got past the point now, and you're gonna think I'm crazy for that. But if I get to Watford, which is when I'd want to play him, you then play Chelsea. I don't want to play him, and then it's the start of that Man United's incredible run.
And then they played Norwich and then Arsenal and then
Yeah, you've got
shit.
You've got Arsenal, Palace, Norwich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves, Villa. So if I've held him to Watford another 3 weeks, cool. I've got to hold him one more week against Chelsea. He's probably going to hemorrhage me cash. He's probably going to be about 5 million by the time we get there.
And I mean, by Watford, that might be a new manager bounce as well. Watford.
I think it will. Yeah, it will be. Oh yeah, it will be. Oh, by that point, it's probably been dropped for
I don't think
or someone.
I'd probably put money on Solskjaer still being in charge come May. Maybe
I'd
not
put money
come
on.
June, because I think
I put money on him big out the door after Man City pull your pants down in a couple of weeks.
I mean the amount of times
You think
in the last
he survives if
in the
Man
last
City
three
beat you like Liverpool
the
did?
thing is in the last 3 years the amount of times we got spanked against Spurs last season 6-1 at home,
Mm.
and then we went on this run where we went from mid-table, like 10th in the league, and then we were top at Christmas.
Well, the fixture list might save him if he makes it to that. If he
That's
makes
the
it to
thing.
game week 42.
Yeah, if we beat Spurs, we don't get embarrassed by City,
yeah, I was about you. You hold some dig, but then you've
and
got Chelsea
we've got
in
Atalanta
2 weeks.
away. If we can get something away at Atalanta as well, then
Oh god, I forgot about the Champions League and everything else. God,
if
all I
but
know
if we lose against Spurs and we lose against Atalanta, Old Trafford next weekend against City could be a very, very vile place.
and then say even if you lose 3-0, I think he's gone. If you lose Tottenham, if you lose to Tottenham and Atalanta,
But I
then
mean,
he's gone.
if he
He's a
comes
dead
out
man
of,
walking into City.
I think the league is. I mean, obviously, if we lost to Atalanta, it's not game over in the Champions League. We still got 2 games left, which we should
Yeah.
win. But then in the league, I think if we came out 4 points, he's got a job. Definitely 2 points. I think he's got a job. I think it's if he comes out of that with a draw out of those 2 games, then it's precarious.
I hate to say it, but I don't even think Watford is a gimme. If you go and get embarrassed
Oh,
by
it
Man
could
City,
be.
the
Yeah,
amount of pressure,
it could be. Yeah,
banana skin central.
yeah. Especially the way that, although the way that Watford play, it will suit United
Oh yeah,
because
but it's one of
Watford
those.
will have a go at them. Watford won't give up the possession and let Man United play the ball. Watford will come out and have a go at them.
But it's one of those. It's a no-win for him because
Which
he's
I mean,
expected to win.
that's the thing with this. Is why I'm fairly confident on for Saturday that United will get a result at Spurs, because Spurs will have a lot of the ball, but they can't do much with it at the moment. Like they're not once they're like we saw it against West Ham last week. They got to that like final third, and it was just sideways. They had
Yeah,
I think it was like 4 touches in the box as a team in the second half, and no
but
shots on target. 1 shot on goal, I think it was.
I hate to say it. West Ham were fairly well organised against Tottenham. I don't know if I see much organisation at all in that Manchester United
We've got Varane
defence.
back. Varane's back at the weekend.
I,
It'll be interesting. I think there has to be a reaction from them. If there isn't a reaction from them, then just fucking get rid of the lot of them, as well as the manager. There'll be a reaction from them on Saturday because they'll know what will happen if they don't if they lose two, say they lose 2-0 against Spurs, but dominate the game and but just not clinical enough at the other end, then at least they've gone down fighting. And the problem with last
Yeah,
weekend, the reason which was so concerning was after the first goal went in,
didn't
the
for a punch.
the fight had
Just
gone,
just took it.
and it was
Yep.
the fifth minute of the game, and then
Yep.
the moment the second goal went in, you knew what was going to happen, you knew what was coming, and the only
I
thing,
think the tempo was set before that. I think when Bruno missed that one in
oh yeah,
the third minute,
yeah, right at the start.
I couldn't believe it was the same guy.
And the thing
Was
is,
it opening day against Leeds that had
when it was
embarrassed?
2-0 and when
Just
it was 3-0, United still got a couple of half chances and just didn't take them. Um, I think yeah, they'll come out, they might play a 4-4-2 or something along the lines of a 4-4-2 at Spurs and start Cavani and Ronaldo.
God, you can't see Rashford starting now.
He'll play. He'll be on as a like
Left
a natural left midfielder. Um,
because he Rashford's. I said this to you last. I'm sure we said this last week. Rashford's the one I've really got my eye on for when that fixture turns.
he out of everyone on the pitch for United last week, he was the one that looked most dangerous, and he was. I mean,
Yeah, I
everything,
definitely agree with that.
everything. They tried to get the ball down that side of the pitch as much as they could.
And I
Yeah,
think if your fixtures weren't, I think if your fixtures weren't so bad, I think I would have possibly gone there already. I think I think he's, and this is a best natural finisher in that team. I think he's a better natural finisher than Ronaldo.
better natural finisher than Cavani.
Yeah, I think you give
I don't
Marcus
think he
Rashford
is.
one chance. I think you give Marcus
No,
Rashford one chance, the way he's
no,
looking at the moment, and he'll score it.
no, not at the moment.
And especially the way you're playing, which is counter attacking. He's so
Oh,
that
on the
that
counter
is
attack, he's brilliant. That's his chalk and cheese. That is. That's just.
yeah. Whereas I think if you went to a 4-4-2, I'd like to see Ronaldo and Rashford up front.
Hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a change of formation,
Yeah, it's got to be.
and it's going to. The thing is, it will suit United. It will be a counter-attacking lineup and style of play compared to what we saw last week, where they tried to play a press, and they're just not that team, which Gary Neville summed up quite well. Right, we have a question in the chat.
Have a
Before
few.
we don't have a.
So go back to my team. Sorry, I'm just
Oh,
having a think. I might just roll. I might just roll now. You've you've persuaded me against anything. It might just be that Luke Shaw comes in for Tierney, and I roll, and I take two with me this week.
I didn't say we're going to keep a clean sheet.
No, but
I
I'm
said, I
thinking.
said, I said we might get a result. I didn't say we're going to keep a clean
I'm
sheet.
thinking
I
if I
also
go,
said it could be a goal fest.
yeah, I've just thought that the only option I'm going for from Shaw is to Livramento, and I'm going to go to Livramento against a team that scored 5 last week. What's the odds that they're keeping a clean sheet?
Hmm.
It's just it just seems like an unnecessary move. And as I said, I'll want Tierney the week after against Watford, admittedly. So I might roll with what we discussed in mind with I think might be the end of the road for Sarr in goal for me. So it might be a case of Luke Shaw goes down to a Livramento and then Sarr goes up to I might get crazy. I might find the money for an Edison. I might get really crazy.
You might get an assist. You might get some assists for Edison. You get goals
Well,
though for Allison.
I've already had the Sarr assist this year, so I've got the only one so far.
Right. Right. Just so we've got one question in the chat. Everyone else seems either settled on what they uh, what they've got planned for this week, or they're still whining about last week. Oliver Tag has said, "Do not know whether to start Hwang versus Everton or Livramento versus Watford. Any tips?" I'd start Hwang versus Everton.
Yeah,
I think,
2 from 2. Always go with the attacker.
yeah, if you've got that coin flip, or what you'd
But
consider to be a coin flip, then I always go with the person I'm least likely to lose points off of, and
the
that's
upside of
that's
the
Hwang.
upside of both is Hwang. How Hwang always wins. What do you expect out of both of them? Probably you expect 2 points, but would it shock me the way Hwang's going if he gets another goal contribution? No, not really. Would it surprise me if Southampton actually keep a clean sheet against Watford after watching them last week? Yeah, it would now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd always go with the attacker. I saw FBL Glasto asked about the Czech billionaires now wanting to bankroll West Ham a little bit now that Sham's not here, and what we thought of that.
Um, I don't have, because it's still a bit. I don't have enough knowledge about how rich the Czech billionaires are. I doubt they're Newcastle United owners rich, or even
Yeah,
Roman Abramovich rich, or
they're
Sheikh
probably
Mansour rich.
Aston Villa owner rich, aren't they? They're probably in the
Like,
billions, but not in the big
not
boy
in the
league.
billions of billions.
Yeah, not in the printing money game
No,
like the Newcastle owners.
not bathing in gold. Yeah, so I mean, we'll have to see where that goes uh, with West
It's only a
Ham.
minority stake anyway, and it Golden whatever is Golden Sullivan
Yeah,
aren't giving
they
that
want a
up.
ridiculous amount of money for that club, because of the amount of money they've invested in, especially in the last few years. So yeah, they don't want to be selling up at the moment. And yeah, if it's a minority share, it's very unlikely that they're going to be inputting
Oh
lots of
yeah,
money into the club.
money.
Um,
They're not going to be challenging Newcastle in January for signings, are they?
no. Right. On that note, what else is there? There's nothing else now, is there? That's it. Oliver, appreciate that. Team's locked in now. Well, you didn't tell us what the rest of the team was, but like you could have
You're
some,
probably
could have a
you're probably
problem.
ahead. You're probably ahead of me, mate. So don't worry about it.
Might not be ahead of me anymore.
Yeah, well. Oh,
uh,
how the mighty will fall.
yeah.
Don't
Well,
you
that's how I
worry.
felt in the last 4 weeks before this week. Right. So what have we got coming up this week? Nothing now. Think we'll be recording the podcast on, what's the Monday night game this week? I don't even know. There is a Monday night
Some
game, Wolves versus Everton. Yeah, we'll probably record it before Wolves v Everton on Monday night, to try and get the podcast out at some point before that game finishes, and the video will be up on YouTube, premiering Tuesday lunchtime.
fantastic.
If you've joined any of the live stream tonight, and want to listen to it back, obviously, um, the video will obviously be available straight away, or probably in about an hour's time, the audio will be available on Spotify, Podbeans, Apple Play, and all that jazz. Last one quick question from Matthew Smith. What's your thoughts on Newcastle United announcing they're willing to buy Cristiano Ronaldo, and who's that? I
I
don't know.
can't even. Oh, mine's gone. I've just lost the chat anyway. They're not going to sign Ronaldo, are they?
No.
He's just announced 2 more kids. So he might need a pay rise, but
um, they they're not going to be signing any names like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oliver's
And
just put his team into the chat now. Now that you've
yeah, the rest of it's all right. Our son isn't getting anything on Saturday.
Son, Wang, Antonio,
Yeah. Newcastle
Nor's Antonio.
Newcastle aren't going to be signing Mbappe or Ronaldo or Messi or
Enjoy James Tarkowski and
any of these sort of players until they have got themselves in a position where they can offer those players top quality European
well,
football.
I read something today that they might only be able to spend 65 million in January because of financial fair play.
Yeah, they've got to let the sponsorship and everything feed it. They'll be investing the money where it needs to be invested at the moment, and that's on the stadia and the academy and things in the background which have been left to rot by Mike Ashley. So the money's going to be invested. Well, I hope it's going to be invested in the right places so that it ensures a stable future for Newcastle um, in later years. Like you look at what City have done, and you look at Phil Foden, who's like the first big name to come out of what they've done there. Jadon Sancho's another one that came out of their investment into the academy, and then more recently, Cole Palmer's he got his second start for City this week. Um,
Yes.
yeah, he's another one that's been touted by um, those that are City fans to that. Yeah, he's got the potential to be a top quality striker in the next few years. Matthew Smith.
Um,
Newcastle did state on November the 27th, Cristiano will be signed to the time on the condition he approves of.
What was that? The only thing I'd like to say is thank you West Ham for beating Man City the other night because it gives me no greater joy to see that Jack Grealish still hasn't won a trophy after moving to Man City after moving to win trophies. So hope they don't win the league and they don't win in the Champions League anytime soon with the bold fraud in charge. So.
Well, we'll see about that. Yeah, it's one less competition for Pep to worry about rotating in now. So yeah,
True.
we shall see. Right, yeah, as I said, we'll be back on. The pod will be out either Monday night or Tuesday night, some point next week. I haven't spoken to Sham to decide when we're recording yet. That's about it for this evening. Have a great game week, and we shall see you next week. Cheers,
Cheers,
guys.
guys.